There we go. Hello, this is Douglas DeBecker with Fallenritsum Institute. I'm here with Dr. Mahesh Kund,
Yeah.
and we're continuing our course on Manas Roga. Hello, Dr. Mahesh.
Hello, Douglas.
How is Kerala?
Kerala is fine, doing with fighting with COVID.
Yeah. Thank you
Okay.
for thank you for taking your time and sharing this with us.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I think last time we had discussed some of the points regarding the causes of the diseases, like improper diet and other things. We'll continue with from this slide.
Okay.
So, okay. I think this we finished. So we'll coming to the. I think this is also finished.
I don't think we got started this.
Okay, so I'll start from this slide, I think.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so when we see the classification of mental diseases as per Ayurveda, so Ayurveda classifies the diseases of the mind as emotions mainly. So Ayurveda, as we have discussed earlier, Ayurveda classifies the diseases into three types. One is which is originated like a physical origin, mental origin, and psychosomatic, and diseases caused due to other external forces. So when we cause for the see for the physical diseases, we see other diseases. When we come to the mental diseases, Ayurveda explains that emotions are the one which can lead to the balance of the mind and also the diseases of the mind. And another name given for these emotions is Vegas, that is urges or instincts. So when these urges or instincts are in a normal way, more normal level, and they're expressed properly in a proper time and with a proper rate, with proper time and situations, they protect us or they support us in proper living, and also will help us to interact with the people and nature and help us to lead our daily life. But once when we are influenced by the physical doshas over the mental doshas, these vegas or emotions will be not in a balanced state, and they will not be expressed properly in a proper amount in proper situation. That means abnormal expression of these emotions in an improper way and improper rate and improper times. So this is all what the Ayurveda explains the mental diseases as. And whereas coming to the psychosomatic diseases, the unmada, that is which is compared to the schizophrenia, it is explained. So why we need to classify like this is that we need to target the treatment, or when we want to do the treatment, we need to target the centers. If it is a physical disease, we need to more focus on physical treatments. If it is a mental one, we have to more mainly focus on the treatment of the mind. And when it is psychosomatic, we need to focus on both the body and mind, or else we have to treat the mind through the body. So coming back to the diseases of the mind, the Ayurveda classifies that emotions are thus can be called as diseases when they are in a deranged states. So in
Can I,
Sushruta Samhita, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
just wanted to ask.
yeah.
You used the word appropriate. So all of these emotions are considered to be healthy
Yeah,
when they're in an appropriate situation.
yeah, yeah. Because as we have seen that in we have built up with the instincts, basic instincts. All these emotions are a part of those basic instincts. So mainly, all these emotions have been classified into two main subcategories. One is love, and another one is hate. Some emotions come under the category of love, and some emotions come under the category of hate. So these all come from basic instincts itself. So for our survival, we need to be under the influence of these basic instincts. So, but when we are totally following or abnormally adapted to these basic instincts, we end up with diseases. The same thing has been explained in Ayurveda. So this is a thing like all these emotions have been explained with the proper sense and proper classification and proper meanings. So once we understand this, we better understand the diseases of the mind, and we can treat them accordingly. Did you get the point? Hello?
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'm putting my microphone on mute when I
Yeah.
can, just so the connection might be better.
Okay. So I will explain them one after the other now. So Ayurveda explains like the emotions like krodha, that is anger, shoka, that is helplessness or misery, bhaya, that is fear or phobia, harsha, excitement or euphoria, vishada, sadness or depression, Yirsha, like jealous of others' wealth, Abhyasuya as jealous of others' growth, Dainya as a feeling, helpless feeling, and Matsarya as enviness over the other people, and Kama or the excessive desire, Lobha or excessive greed. So these are being
Could
explained as
one question? One question.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Could you go
yeah,
back to that slide?
yeah. Which the first one? Okay.
The before that, the one
Yeah.
you were just at. No, after.
This one.
Yes.
Okay.
So, when you say envy, how do you distinguish the difference between
Yeah,
envy
yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come back. Just I am giving an introduction over
Okay.
this. I will
Okay.
explain
Thank you. Thank
all
you very
these
much.
things.
Okay.
Okay. So coming back to the detailed understanding of all these emotions, how they act as normal and how they become as a disease-causing factors. Example is first one is the krodha, which is understood as anger or aggression. So we all need a proper, we all need an expression of anger in our day-to-day life to express our like not that not so like when we are not justified with what we are seeing or understanding, we show our anger. So this is normal. But a person who is under the influence of this physical doshas and their influence over the rajas, so this will trigger the mind to express the anger in a more high rate or high range. So this is converted, the anger will be converted into aggression, which is not normal. So a person who has to be expressing his anger in a proper amount and proper rate and proper situations will start expressing his anger in a very high range in an improper time and in proper conditions. So sometimes in pathological states, this also leads to homicidal thoughts and homicidal acts also. So this is how emotion, which is protective, because if a person is free from anger, he cannot survive because other people may start dominating him. But a person who is able to properly express his anger, so he can get the things done properly by showing his dominance or showing his presence in that situation. But when this krodha or anger gets out of control or it is expressed in a higher range, this becomes a disease state or disease causing states. So I'll explain like this is how we assess what is the range of any emotion when a patient comes, whether it is in a normal or it is mildly increased, moderately increased, or highly increased. Sometimes, if it is mild to moderate, it can be reversed with basic psychotherapies. But when it is in a high range, proper physical intervention is required, where we go for physical purification, which will help in reducing the influence of physical doshas over the mental doshas, and then and then it will help to reduce this abnormal states of these emotions. So like this krodha, which is to be properly understood, properly expressed, will in under the pathological state, it will be highly expressed. Okay. So next, we'll deal with the next emotions like shock or helplessness or misery. Uh, See, we are all built with a factor called as ego. So, but when a person, this ego will help us to maintain our identity. But sometimes what happens when we start achieving or gaining some things in life, we start to be moving to be more and more egoistic. So being more egoistic will start making us disconnected from the actual reality or truth. So we start uh, when a person is becoming more and more egoistic, the negative emotions in a person starts being more dominating. So these negative emotions will also have influence over the mental health. So the nature has added a, what you call a neutralizer for this negative ego, that is a shock or a feeling of sadness or shoka. So a person who is feeling helpless, so he starts in him the ego starts reducing because he has to take a help from others. If he is egoistic, he may not get the help from others. But if he reduces this ego, he starts getting help or expecting help from others. Like this, the mind or the nature has added this emotion to balance our negative ego. So, so many of the times when we receive a patient with conflicts like relationship conflicts or working place conflicts, or so like a place, if the patient is not able to exist with the place, people, and other things. So this may the negative ego may be also one cause. So what we do is a little bit try to trigger this emotion so that they can reduce their negative egos. And this is one part of this shoka. Another thing is that some people are having too much of this helplessness or misery issue, emotion. So in that person, we try to boost their self-confidence. That is triggering their positive egos. Like this, we assess this emotion and we try to treat that with the help of the psychotherapies. And the next emotion is bhaya or fear or phobias. So why this three word is being used is bhaya is in common meaning. It is a common fear. So we all have been built with a strong basic instinct of fear to what we don't see or what we see in our surroundings. Suppose if we imagine that this emotion is not at all present in us, again like in the what I said, this we may all end up with troubles. Like suppose we don't have when like fear of the things or animals or people who harm us or who hurt us, or the environment or the materials who harm us and hurt us. So we end up with being contact with this, and we may get hurted or harmed, or even we may get killed also. So to protect from all these harmful factors, there is an emotion added or by the nature or by the birth. This fear is being added in us, so that it is like a protective emotion from keeping us protected from not approaching these harmful factors. It may be in the form of person, place, material, or nature. So, but what happens? This emotion, or like fear, it is not at all present or present at higher rate. That these two states are the abnormal states. So when we receive a patient and we see that, so commonly they have fear, but when this fear continues to be continues to for a longer time, this converts into a phobia. So there is a method of treating this fear or phobia by hierarchy methodology. So we know in psychology hierarchy methodology. Suppose a person is having a fear of one person, place, or a material, they start making talking with a patient or counseling a patient to get accustomed with such material and get rid of this emotion. So like this, all these emotions are equally protective, and also when they are abnormal, they can also harm us also. So it is our duty to see and balance these emotions in a person. Next emotion which I'm going to discuss is this. Yeah, yeah,
One
yeah.
moment. So what when you say hierarchy, I'm not familiar with that. What does that mean? Hierarchy therapy with fear.
Hierarchy therapy is making a person accustomed with a situation or a person step by step. Suppose I'm giving an example. A person is having a fear of snakes. We'll make or talk a patient with some words like which some days we'll only talk about snakes and make him more accustomed with snakes, and we remove the fear of snakes through words. In the next step, when he's free from talking about snakes, we'll give him the models of snakes to see them, touch them, feel them. Like this, he gets rid of the fear of the structures of these fear-causing factors. Lastly, that may not be possible. I'm just giving an example. We may take them near the non-poisonous snakes and show them in a TV or in a video. We may show the presence videos of these things, and slowly, we make them to remove the fear from this. And more than keeping fear, we may provide a proper knowledge about them, how to handle these fears. So that is how the hierarchy construction works.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So next emotion which I'm going to discuss is harsha, or the excitement. So we all have like a fear, opposite to fear or shoka. We have one more positive or motivational emotion, that is harsha or excitement. So we all need this emotion to motivate ourselves, or this helps us in living or motivating ourselves in our lives to do new things, to move towards new achievements, new people, new works. So suppose this emotion is reduced or absent, we may not get any motivation to do new things or do new projects. We may start withdrawing ourselves from the society and the people, so which is seen in the primary cases of depression. If this emotion is reduced or removed from us, we may end up with negative emotions and depression also. But if this emotion gets too much increased in our body, we start moving in a euphoric stage, and we start disconnecting with the reality. And also we may end up with negative egoism also. So when we receive a patient, we first assess what is the state of his emotion, and whether it is in a very high state or a low state. And we adapt suitable sattvaja chikitsa to balance this. So this is how this harsha or excitement emotion works out. So the next one important emotion is vishada or sadness. So in Ayurveda, what they explain this vishada or sadness as non-involving in the activities due to fear of failure. So this is what being given the definition. The person loses interest, or he avoids himself in getting involved with his routine works due to the fear of failure. This is what called the sadness or vishada. So in this, what we do is we'll exactly find what is the cause of his uh, like a skipping of work, or avoiding the duties, or avoiding the works, and then we try to treat them accordingly. So this is mostly, sometimes it is compared to the depressive neurosis. Okay, so do you have any questions on this?
Well, no. There's more emotions on the next list, yeah?
Yeah. So I'll move on to the
Okay.
next.
Okay.
So next one is Irsha. So we all have, as we are humans, we have, just to motivate us, there are some emotions, but sometimes these are at the peak of getting deranged very fast. So one of such emotion is Irsha, or jealous of others' wealth. So, when we see others' growths and developments, it's just motivates us in a proper, slightly it motivates, so that we also should grow ourselves or like that other person. But what happens most of the times, this emotions gets mostly negative, and we start developing a jealous over others' growth and developments. So this is what called Irsha. So this is one of the main symptoms which we see in a case of depression also. So this is also one of the main emotion which we see in depression patients. So first we try to treat this negative emotion, then we can help the patient with get out of the depression. So next emotion is abhyasuya, or jealous of others' growth. So this is similar to that the same earlier Irsha. So it is just nothing but jealous of others' growth in the form of economy, or in their positions and other things. So next
So
emotion.
when you say treat, how are you treating jealousy?
Yeah, no, what we do is, so see, their spiritual psychotherapy mainly works like we make the person understand what is the his own strengths and weaknesses, and in which area he is strong or weak, and we motivate them to go in a positive way. So competition, healthy competition is okay, but negative competition, we try to remove the negative competition in these people. So that is
Could
how it
could
works.
you could you sorry, you don't mind my questions? Yeah, I know
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay. I hope not. Um,
yeah.
uh, how do you distinguish uh, positive competition and negative competition?
See, a positive competition is taking others' growth as, or see, like one person is purchasing a new house, suppose. So taking that as a positive way, like okay, he has purchased. I'm happy for that, and I want to be like I also want to purchase a new house like him. This is what could be called as a positive way. But that person has purchased a house, he might have cheated 100 people like this, he may talk. So this is what like a negative way. So we try to treat
Okay.
this and correct their thinking and make it positive.
Mm,
Okay, so this
okay.
is yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
more parts of the story to help reduce the person's jealousy. Like maybe they don't want a new house.
Yeah. So we,
Like
yeah.
what came with the new house?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
no, yeah, for positive competition, we promoted positive competition. Okay, so that makes them treat both of them like it also corrects them and also help them their personal growth also. But if it is a negative, it starts declining more than helping them to grow. So this is how like we convert from positive to negative emotions. Is it okay?
Yes.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll move to the next one. That is a helpless feeling, or it is dainya or helpless feeling. It is just like a similar emotions, which we saw earlier with shoka. So this is similar to that. Here, this is more seen in case of depression. So we see this in case of more with women, usually post delivery or during menstrual time, where it is also related with slightly with hormonal changes in their body, where there is a sudden change in the physical shift. There is, after post delivery, we see a sudden withdrawal of the hormones like progesterone and estrogen. So it has a very great impact on the mental health. It suddenly, a person who is not able to cope up with that situation may end up with the postpartum depression. Okay, so this is similar to that, where a person is lost everything, or his emotions is not at all. He's trying to motivate himself, but he's not at all able to help himself. At that moment, this emotions is seen. That is helpless from all the dimensions of life. So this is a very important emotion to be understood, because once we don't treat this emotion, this person may move at the suicidal thoughts and suicidal attempts. So this is very important emotion to understand. A person who is not able to like a person is too much motivated, or he's egoistic. So many people may try to hinder him, or he may tell that you are worthless. But that person takes that as very in a very anger way, and he tries to neglect or deny the other's words, and he tries to come out of that by fighting with himself. But a person who is lost this, he will take the other's words in a very negative way, and he tries to not come out of that, and he loses everything, and he ends up with suicidal thoughts and suicidal attempts. So this is what the daini or helpless feeling is, that. So it is all our duties when we see a patient. So it is very important to identify this in a patient of depression. If we don't identify the patient, we may lose the patient. So the next emotion which I'm going to discuss is matsarya or envy. So this is also similar to that of jealousy. But here, this is a very negative thing, negative emotion, which need to be, this envy may not help in any way to either positively motivate. This is always a negative emotion. So, so many of the times it is always present with some people. It is very difficult to treat this emotion because it is always carried with them. So, with the help of some of the spiritual therapy, we may help to balance this because in our real practice, clinical practice, we may not try to totally treat this, or we may fail to totally treat this envy emotions. So we need to mostly focus on spiritual therapy when we see an envy, too much deranged envy in a person. So that is how where the spiritual therapy is more important in this emotion. So
You
next
said
thing,
too much what?
yeah, the envy is always a negative one, and it will not easy, it cannot be easily treated in a person if a person is having a negative envy.
Okay, okay.
So in that, the spiritual therapy is very important. No, other therapies may not be helpful. Other psychotherapies, only spiritual therapy will help in that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So next emotion is karma or desires. So this is a very motivating emotion which we keeps us all alive. So a person who is out of desires may lose interest in his daily activities and may get rid of or disconnected from his duties. So this emotion keeps a person always motivated because a person is having more and more desires. He tries to fulfill them with his efforts. But sometimes what happens, this desires will become more and more, and they may turn into abnormal or over desires. So that is also a state of disease, and lack of these desires is also a state of disease. So when we receive a patient, we try to understand what is the state of his desires. So we try to balance them by adapting suitable psychotherapies. So too much of desires or lack of desires, both are a state of diseases.
It's it's uh it's such a core issue for a human being. How do you what kind of therapy do you have to reduce desire?
Yeah, so it's a combination. Yeah, it's a combination of psychotherapy and spiritual therapy. It's a long
Uh-huh.
standing. It doesn't have
Okay.
the. Yeah, it's a what do you call it? Long run therapy, not working on a short term therapy. So
And then what would you call positive desires are? Like when it's for the benefit of others, or like for the benefit of your duties to take care of your kids, desires like
yeah,
this?
yeah, that's what earlier we have discussed, like sattvika, rajasika, and
Mm.
tamasika. Sattvika is always thinking for the benefit of others or society. Rajasika is benefit of the self, and tamasika is gaining power to hurt others. So that is
Mm.
what. So like that, a person. See, well, what we think is that we are all built with all these emotions. We cannot deny the presence of these in all of us. But a person who knows what is the benefits or harms of these emotions, so and he's able to balance and express it properly in proper situation, we can lead a healthy and a successful life. But a person who is not able to control or understand the expression of these emotions, and he doesn't control properly the expression of these emotions, may end up with problems or disease states. So it is very important for a person to be need to be stabilized in understanding his ingrowing emotions and their expressions. So the balance of the mind is very, very important in understanding these emerging emotions and their expressions. So that's why
Okay.
a person needs to be very much trained to see, like he may not like see other. I told that next emotion is greed, that is lobha. So when we try to correct this greed, that is not going to too much of collecting materials for the future use, like money, or it may be in the material or whatever it is. So when we try to reduce this greed and make them to collect the things which are essential and leave out the things which are not essential. So sometimes fear may also trigger this greed, and this greed may also trigger this desires. So in this condition, we try to remove the first fear of absence of materials, and then we reduce the greed, and then reduce the desires. So all these emotions are interconnected. So we try to see what is the best way to understand or the cause of these emotions, and treat these emotions, because all these emotions are interrelated, or one emotion may trigger another emotion. So we try to it's very important to understand what is the cause of this origin of these emotions. So then only we can treat this. So like
Okay.
these are all the basic emotions. So these help us for our survival and our daily living. But when they are deranged, they may also affect us and make us diseased also. So most of the times, we all become culprit of these things, or become a sufferer of these emotions, if you are not able to control these things. Even though these are mental emotions, the physical health also plays a very, very important role in proper development of these emotions and expression of these emotions. So that's why diet and lifestyle becomes very, very important in managing these emotions also. That's why that Triguna Ahara has been explained in Bhagavad Gita, that is Satvika Ahara, Rajasika Ahara, and Tamasika Ahara. A person who is having Satvika Ahara may be able to properly balance these emotions. Rajasika may be in a midway between a healthy state and a disease state. Tamasika will always be in a disease state. So this is how, when we try to treat these things, along with the psychotherapy, we advise a patient to go on from Rajasika diet to Satvika diet, from Tamasika to Rajasika, from Rajasika to Satvika diet, which will help to treat a patient. Is it okay?
Yes, I'm reflecting on what you said about satvika and
Yeah.
the necessity to function in society
Yeah.
as a householder, for instance, and
Yeah.
how you want to keep in mind that where they are, if they're going to be involved in society, they can't be too sattvic in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because we are humans. We are not superhumans or super gods.
Mm-hmm.
So we are all bound. See, like we are all bound with the duties. So we need to be see. And another thing is that dharma always plays a major role. Suppose we need to be angry on some person. So dharma, that is whether this expression of anger is for the good one or the bad one. So that is how, when we are in a right way of living, that helps us to take a decision properly. Suppose a person who is expressing anger and all, later he starts repenting. Why did I show anger? Why did I show anger? I should have not shown. This is a condition where neurotic patients have. So
Mm-hmm.
a person will express an anger, but later on he thinks, why did I express that emotion? Why did I express? So this happens with some people. But a person who knows properly that that expression of that emotion was required at that time, he will not repent, or he will not use or express any wrong emotion at any wrong places. So a person has to be understanding he should be in a righteous living, and he should know what are the positiveness and negativeness, and he should be bounding with his duties. So then only he can get rid of this emotional dramas or emotional influences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see over here. There's people from time to time that are trying to live off the air. Yeah, and they just eat fruit for a long time, or they start to be very sattvic. and I can see how that could be a problem as a parent if they have kids and they're non-reactive to whether the kids are doing something dangerous or non-dangerous, and then later on they may actually as well regret that they didn't act upon something because they were too sattvic, even possibly. I don't know if it's totally possible, but it sounds like it's if they're
that's why nature has built up, nature has added all these things in us for our better survival.
I guess that would be kind of a combination of sattvic and tamas. Tamas.
Yes. Like not to be more human or not to be more animal. So proper expression of emotion at proper situations with proper rate and amount. That's
one question. This idea of enthusiasm, from Vyana Prana. Vyana Prana is kind of involved with enthusiasm, right? The heart-centered wind. So is simply taking some herbs that activate Vyana Prana a good enough regimen to activate someone's enthusiasm?
That may be useful in case of severe depression, but not in a normal person.
Oh, interesting. So if the person's depressed because of that,
we need to know when to start, when to stop these things.
So when the depression goes away, then you would stop.
We need yes. Just trigger.
What kind of? Because the reason I'm thinking is what maybe you could tell me what would you say is an herb that activates the heart-centered wind? Because a lot of what I'm familiar with, it's usually balancing the heart-centered wind, in a way calming it, and activating it is I would imagine a more rajasic type of herb, right, for the heart-centered wind.
Mainly I use this aphrodisiacs like ashwagandha is there.
I was thinking ashwagandha. Okay.
And some other herbs are there. So which like Siddha Makaradvaja, what I was discussing with earlier, all these Rishya Dravyas. Okay. So they have a role in triggering such this excitement because they motivate. Okay. See, sexual drive is also one of the drive which motivates us for living. Okay. So in case of depression, this drive is also gone away. But in case of sometimes, when we other methods fail, we try to trigger this emotion, which in other way that triggers them to come out of the depression. But we should know when to stop these things, because if we continue these things, this person will end up with a pathological state.
Sure. And what about Tulsi?
Tulsi is a more sattvic, okay, so that may not trigger this. It is in a healthy person to trigger the sattvic excitement, not a tamasic or rajasic excitement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so like this ashwagandha I am using and all other Rishya Dravyas. So I use that. Mainly Siddha Makaradvaja, what I use in my practice, that has helped to treat this patients of depression to actually come out and they start this excitement or harsha in them. Positive happiness will start in them. And I know when to stop it.
The Siddha Makaradvaj, that's not considered rajasic, is it? Is it rajasic in some sense?
Yes, definitely. It's
okay.
And if it is not properly used, it may convert into tamasic also.
Okay, thank you.
So it may trigger sometimes negative instincts. So that's the problem with this aphrodisiacs. Okay.
So one question: would you say that aphrodisiacs in general are not sattvic?
No.
Okay.
Because why I am using this? I cannot use that name. I cannot reveal that name. One great ruler in India. He was born out of this Vajikarna. You know this Vajikarna?
Yeah, Vajikarana. Yeah.
This he was born after his father took this Vajikarna,
Uh-huh.
and his son became a very aggressive ruler. He killed many people to just rule.
Jeez.
So this is why very careful. We need to be very careful in using these things to
Oh,
stimulate the people. That's why we need to be always balanced. We don't want a negative progeny who is born out of all this aggression in him.
hmm.
So Vajikarna mostly, that's why the context of Vajikarna has been explained that this topic is only dealt with the people who doesn't have offsprings, not to have many offsprings. Okay, healthy. Are you getting the point?
Yes, yes, thank you. Very
Yeah.
good. It's excellent.
Yeah, that's why in Charaka Sharirasthana, first the father and mother need to be more sattvic too before they have offspring. So all the measures to get become sattvic has been explained so that the child may not grow as rajasic or tamasic. Okay.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So next again moving from this one, we again have a brief consideration of three doshas and mind. So we have three doshas of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So how this Vata, Pitta, and Kapha influence the mind? Just in brief understanding, Vata is considered to be the driving force, and it always involves in motivating or exciting this motivational emotions. What we understood in the previous slides. And if this vata is always tend to get rearranged very fast, so it may also trigger anxiety features or anxiety disorders in a person also. And vata may be also a cause of causing manic features in a person. And too much of vata in a person may also develop obsessive compulsiveness, or also a disorder. It may convert into an obsessive compulsive disorder also. A person who is having vata, mentally he's been seen as a hyperactive person, or always mentally he's almost hyperactive. So this is what the vata and mind is related. So most of the times anxiety disorders, mania, OCD, and other hyperactivity disorder, we treat vata to get rid of these mental disorders which are originated of vata. So in case of pitta, pitta is understood to be the metabolic force. So the main involvement of pitta is seen in case of schizophrenia and schizoid disorders, and also like delusions and hallucinations, and like a paranoia and other. And also the influence of pitta is also seen in many of the other behavioral disorders also, and also some of the personality disorders also. So in all this case, we mainly target pitta in treating these conditions. So we adapt Virechana and other methods to treat these conditions. Most of the times, it's a time-consuming treatment because most of these conditions are considered to be not curable or treatable, only balanced. So, but when we give a long-term shodhana and physical therapy and psychotherapies, we may help a patient to get rid of these abnormal conditions. And influence of kapha over mind is understood like it is a kapha is seen in as considered to be the protective or a soother of the mind. But most of, and also the kapha is considered to be the, if it is in a negative condition, it may cause a negative, very negative conditions in the mind. So it may lead to conditions like catatonia, a depressive illness, phobias, and also kapha also may trigger antisocial thoughts and abnormal negative thoughts in a person. So it is very important to see the state of kapha and its presence, whether it is a very high state or low state, or it is in a positive way or a negative way. So too much of kapha may lead to the abnormal attachments or desires in a person. So he may end up with addictions or some of the sexual addictions or drugs or alcohol or smoking, or with women or men sexual addictions. So, but most of the times it will be very difficult to treat these conditions. So, adapting proper shodhana, like repeated shodhanas and proper psychotherapies and spiritual therapies will help in treating kapha disorders. So, this is how the three doshas and mind are related. So, here the all these three doshas have equal influence over the rajas and tamas. Rajas is involved with Vata and Pitta, and Tamas is involved with the Kapha. So we have to adapt proper, after proper treatment, we have to adapt proper lifestyle, proper diet in like maintaining a person so that he should not have these conditions again in his future life. So do you have any questions on this?
No, this is excellent. Thank you.
Okay, okay. So coming back to the diagnosis. So what I will do is tomorrow or next class we can have, I'll come with a new presentation which I have made, which is very simple and more practical. I will start with that presentation. So is it okay? Hello?
Oh, sorry, my mute. So we should end here then, yes?
Yeah. We can end here. And I will explain that tomorrow.
Thank you very much. This is very good. Excellent.
So if you have any questions, you can write me.
Yeah, I don't have any. Oh, yes. Yeah. What, again, your email? What is your email?
Mahesh, MAHESH, KUND @yahoo.co.in.
Right. And so the other thing is that we'll be putting on the site too a link for consultations. If people want to do online consultations with you, you'll be available. Yeah?
Yeah, I will be available.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. All right, Dr. Mahesh, we'll talk next time.